Appreciate you coming back through for the Addict Show, Addict Review, whatever you guys want to call it these days. I guess it's kind of both, isn't it, Dirt? Addict Show and an Addict Review. Obviously, if you guys see the titles, we're gonna be going over a few things, man. Obviously we gotta make it a little spicy too. Like it's not one of those things that we gotta make it spicy. Like some spicy stuff happened. Audio is very low, so I'm low. Okay, so Dirt was saying that I was low. Let me make sure that it's on the right thing. Yeah, it's on the right thing. Hold up.
Guys, it sounds like when you get closer to the mic, yeah.
All right.
It sounds when you get closer to the mic.
Does that sound better?
You sound better than me, yeah.
The sound is at 5%. It shouldn't be at 5%. Hold up. Let me get my phone. You guys got to deal with an echo for about 15 seconds. You good?
Yeah, I don't know. Like I said, you were sounding low. Oh, okay. So Flame said, I'm good, but you are low.
How am I low?
I'm not sure. So Flame said, I'm good, but you are low.
Right. How am I low? Let me see what the actual Zoom thing is. All right, what about now?
You sound good now. You sound, yeah.
All right, let me turn it down just a little bit because I saw it go in the red. All right, how does that sound, guys? You guys going to have to... I don't want to be too loud now. I don't want to be too loud because then you guys going to be complaining that I'm too loud. What about now, man? What about now? There we go. Okay. Yeah. I assume that we're good.
Yeah, we're good now.
All right, so sorry about that, guys. Sorry about that. But anyway, we're back with another Addict Show where I speak the past, present, and future of gaming. No co-host today. Unfortunately, Hustle had some real-life situations that he had to get done. But we got Dirt Griggity. What's going on, Dirt?
What's up, my brother? 3 weeks in a row, man.
3 weeks in a row. Let's be real here. There's so much hot stuff going on with Xbox, man. We got to get an Xbox representative in here.
Man.
I play whatever side I want to play. I play whatever side I want to play. Sometimes on the villain. Sometimes on the villain you guys want. Sometimes on the villain you guys need. So, we're going to go over, obviously, the Xbox show. We got a lot going on that. We're going to go over some stuff that was said during it. Now, there are a little bit that was said that we do have to go over in terms of... Now, there are a little stuff that wasn't said during the shows, but I feel like it's important. So we will be going over stuff like that as well. Addict for the streets. You guys are ridiculous. All right, so let's go ahead. And first off, how was this week? Have you been gaming much this week, Dirt? I don't think I gamed one day this week.
I dabbled a little bit in the quarry, but that's about it. But it's been a pretty busy week, doing this podcast, my own guest starring on podcasts. It's been a pretty hectic week, bro. So, no, I haven't had much gaming in. Yeah,
so I played a little bit of Destiny. Then I played Demio. They got a new update coming, and I got my hands on an early build of it. They got like a new character and stuff. So I've been working on that. I'm going to have some coverage on that on the ILP channel. I'm going to be streaming the quarry eventually on ILP. I'm hoping to do it tomorrow. Yeah. I definitely appreciate people. There's like 15 people waiting. I felt bad. I couldn't do it. Like, it's just like, look, like I had so much stuff going on. My work ended up mandating me for almost 17 hours I had to stay.
Oof, dang.
And, by the time I got off, it was like 4-ish, 5-ish. So I worked from midnight to 7 to 5 p.m. the next day.
Wow.
And so by the time I got home, I was like, well, maybe I should just go home and maybe I should just get, do this quarry stream because I already pushed it one day because the girl came over. She wasn't supposed to. And she's like, well, I'm on my way. I was like, well, I can't sit here for 2 hours streaming. So I was like, that got to be ended. So I delayed it a day, but then work kept me another day. So, and I was just, I was going home and I was thinking to myself, I'm going to be dead. What's the point of me doing a show? Like, my energy going to be low. You're going to get like, hey guys, like we ain't doing that. That's not how this works. So, I was like, they'll wait for me, man. I got to be 100%. I work tonight. Hopefully I don't get mandated again tomorrow, but if I don't, Probably about 5 p.m. is when we do it. Probably about 5 p.m.
Yeah, I mean, the Corey's all right so far. So, I mean, you might like it if you like those types of games.
Oh, I love those type of games. Until Dawn is my
like
favorite PlayStation. One of my favorite PlayStation exclusives.
Well, you'll definitely like this one then.
What's funny is I got a review code, but they sent it the day of. Like, no, look, I appreciate the opportunity, but I do feel like as the publisher, if you're going to give games out the day of, what are you realistically hoping them to achieve in that short amount of time? You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So it is what it is. I appreciate the opportunity regardless. But I'm going to stream it. And then what I'm going to do after I stream it is I'm going to review it on the ILP channel. And then I got Demio I got to work on, which, there's a new character, which is crazy. She's a crazy character for those in the chat that saw our Demio interview. It's a character that controls a dog.
Oh, wow.
And because it's like a tabletop RPG, like you pick up dice and throw it. It's on PC now. It's a fun game. I really enjoy it. I definitely think you guys should go out there and look at that. But I feel like this is a good time in gaming. Now, obviously, we're going to talk about these events. We're going to talk about that. There's a couple things that we got to go over. First thing we're going to talk about probably, do you think we should wait for the Starfield and Redfall? We should dissect that after we talk about the show itself?
Probably, yeah. We should get to the overall show first and then kind of go specific games.
All right, yeah, Pacific, you mean Starfield and Redfall. I ain't talking about most of these games. All right, so got a $2 super chat from Baby Farva.
Your baby Farva, what's up, homie?
Farva, what's good, fellas? Chat, what's good? I'm
Mod. that's the thing I do on my channel.
I was
mod.
What's funny? Because I usually always listen to your podcast like over a speaker or something. I don't watch it. I listen to it. But the other day I started listening to it. And man, you have some crazy segments in that thing, man.
Yeah, we do, man. We have some crazy stuff. My PlayStation cry baby, man, baby, whatever it is. I will play the clip and I would do a live voiceover. I'm mad. So that's where your baby father got the I'm mad from. So yeah, I had a bunch of different stuff, man. I just try to be a little different,
Well, see, I feel like we need more of that, more creative minds. Because I took a little bit of the format we do on ILP, which people were sitting there clowning on me, saying that I jacked ILP's format. I helped make ILP's format. You can't jack something you helped make, first off.
Exactly.
Second off, I don't know what to tell you guys. I don't know why. It didn't bother me, but I was just like, how people, maybe they were just trying to annoy me, which they succeeded. So let's go and talk about the Xbox Showcase 2022. First thing I want to know, man, is what are your general thoughts on this? First off, what was your expectations going on here? And then what was your thoughts when you actually watched it? And did they meet anything? Like, we ain't going to go into games too much right now. We ain't going to go into the pacing or anything. But what I want to know is what was your initial thoughts right before this show started? And what was your thoughts after? And did it kind of meet expectations any?
Okay. Well, initially my expectations was up here. Because you say Xbox has all of these studios. They've shown a roadmap, a huge amount of games in development. I'm sure we're going to see some of those games. But I would say this: one of my panel members, he said, when Sarah Bond announced they're only going to show the next 12 months worth of games.
That's when stuff went downhill for me.
Okay. So that the right process of elimination. So because already said, okay, that's no Perfect Dark. There's no Fable. You're like, okay, fine. Then the show itself, I thought it started off fine. I thought Redfall looked great. Then something happened towards the middle. They showed a lot of games. I guess I didn't really care for personally, but I think it ended well. So it started off good. The middle was kind of down for me. Then it ended well. So my expectations of the show was high. It didn't meet my expectations, but the show wound up being around a 7 for me. You know what I'm saying? Because it wasn't the best show. Like I mentioned, like pre-show, it wasn't as good as last year, but it was better than 2019 and 2020, in my opinion. So it didn't quite meet my expectations, but it wasn't that bad of a show. But they've had better shows than that, though.
Yeah, they've had a few better shows than that. It looks like we got BG's here, man. Is your audio stuff working yet, BG? You still setting that up?
Yeah, I hear you.
What's up, BG? Appreciate you coming through, man. We needed someone a little bit more on the other end. I was pretty hard on them, and I was told I wasn't supposed to be that hard. But it is what it is. So how did you personally feel? The way we're doing it, BG, is we're talking about your general expectations going into this event, and we're talking about how you felt after it, and do you think it succeeded or was the expectations that you had for this event?
So I didn't really, I didn't really have my expectations were neutral. I'll say they were neutral. Turned out to be, I think there just wasn't a lot of games that interested me, right? From what I got from there was some Xbox fans. I saw the side of people who completely loved it, and then I saw the people who thought it was okay, but the games that were shown were not, still not necessarily what they wanted to see. They wanted to see the ones that were, everybody put up on their list that they're excited about, the Avoweds, the Outer Worlds, the Perfect Darks, all those things, and they didn't.
That was where I was at.
Yeah, they didn't get to see those. So for me, it was just, honestly, it was like maybe 2, max 3 games that were shown that I was interested in, that out of the whole conference. So that was it for me.
All right, so Derek, go ahead and finish your statement. Sorry, I think I interrupted you because BG came in and it kind of.
Oh no! I was done. I was just agreeing with BG that I was that second guy that not every game interests me. I was expecting to see some of the bigger games that have already been announced, like Avowed and Perfect Dark. But like I mentioned, when she said 12 months, I said okay, they're not going to have those games. That's a few years out. So, but it was okay though. It was okay.
All right, so here's how I felt. All right, I actually thought I had reasonable expectation, expecting to see Avowed. I threw stuff like Perfect Dart out, stuff like what's another game? Perfect Dart I threw out. I threw Fable out, said we weren't going to see Everwild. I felt like I had realistic expectations, and it still wasn't met. I understand. To me, and I don't know how you guys feel, I actually prefer the 12-month thing over, the couple years thing. Maybe they have an XO that goes more into detail on what the future plans of Xbox is, but the E3 part of the show is relative, like this is what you're going to be playing in the next 12 months. I actually like that because I like knowing that all these games I'm going to have access to in the next 12 to 15 months, because let's be real here. Even Starfield might get pushed back past that 12-month mark. So, I like that. Now, I'm not going to say that this game was a bad show. It wasn't a bad show. It was good on paper for the people it applied to. It was bad on me because I didn't really care about 80% of the show. I'm going to be real with you. I actually felt like one of the saving grace was Starfield. Now, I do think it was looking a little fishy. We'll go into that a little later. But I don't think it's looking as bad as everyone else thinks. But, we'll go into that momentarily because we have a whole topic dedicated to Starfield and Redfall. But when it comes to the actual show, it's like I said, I think that the game had great pacing. And I know people try to describe what pacing in a show means. I personally feel like pacing is how long you spend on a game and you go to the next game and the quality of the games that you spend on. That's what I feel like pacing is. And I can understand. I think the pacing was there. It's just the games didn't appeal to me, so it felt off to me. But if they had better indies, better games in general, and they replaced the games that I didn't particularly care for, then it would have been a lot better. It's just I personally felt like it was the games that didn't appeal to me more than the pacing of the show.
Yeah, I understand. I watched the show a couple times. The second time I watched it in 4K. And the show did get a little better, but there was that middle, there was some games I just didn't care for. But there was some games that actually looked better the second time I watched it, because I'm that game High on Life. That is a game that looks incredible to me. Not a lot of people talking about the game, the game that was made by the people that wrote Rick and Morty or whatever. I think that game looks dope, with the.
That looked fun. That looked fun.
It was fun. So there was a few indie games that caught my attention the second time. The first time, my mood was kind of, because I'm going to be honest here, guys. After I saw, after I saw a certain Xbox first party game, my mood got really bad. Pentiment. I knew the game was going to be a small game, but I was expecting something different than that. So my mood was like really negative. Then it picked up towards the later of the show.
Yeah, I'm not gonna. We'll go ahead and go over some of the general things. One thing I do want to bring out is here's the games. Now, keep in mind, I have a couple games we're gonna stop on, but if any of you want to talk about individual games, when I read over them, tell me to stop. So we got Redfall. We have a point dedicated to that. We don't need to go into that because I felt like that was one of the highlights. So ironically, considering I've I ain't been talking snap about it, but it didn't look appealing to me up until now. Hollow Knight Silk Song. I actually like this. I know you're a fan of this type of genre of BG. Did you like the showing that they showed with that game?
I like the genre of Hollow Knight, but I haven't played Hollow Knight. I haven't played Hollow Knight itself yet, so I need to download it because Jack was my share partner. I'm pretty sure he bought it, so I need to try it out. So I can't really speak on Hollow Knight right now.
It was on Game Pass.
Oh no, I don't indulge in such things.
Oh shit!
Oh my god, BG. All right, and then let me grab this just to be on the safe side. Then we got High on Life. Now, this game doesn't look like something I would play normally, but when I was looking at this game, I was like, you know what? I might actually mess with this game. I might actually try this game. I don't know why. It's the personality of the game, the chemistry of the game. Like, this is a game that I would normally skip, but when I'm seeing this game, I'm like, this actually might be fun. Now, how did you guys feel about High in Life? I'm curious to hear BG, because I know BG is mainly on me when it comes to stuff like this. When you saw this High in Life, I haven't even looked at your reactions, BG. Normally I look at your reactions, but I was so disgusted with the show, I didn't want to see any more of certain parts of the show.
Yeah, it didn't do nothing for me, man. Right off the rip, I'm not the craziest about first-person shooters, right? Like, there's some first-person shooters I like, but it has to be special for me to like it. And I don't think the whole comedic, goofy first-person shooter that doesn't take itself seriously thing really does it for me. Like, the only game like that I like is like Borderlands. Borderlands purposely tries to be funny, but the rest of them, I think it's it didn't do anything for me. I'm like, this is a skip. I don't care about it. I'm not playing that. I've never even watched Rick and Morty. I guess if you watch Rick and Morty before,
I've never watched Rick and Morty either.
Maybe you care, but
I think it looked entertaining. It didn't look fun at the time. It just looked entertaining. I don't know how the gameplay is going to play. I don't know if it's going to be a fast pace, slow pace, like average pace. But you know who I want to hear from? Dirt. I know. We've been talking a lot about this show, but when it comes to High on Life, it really did feel like the developers were high when they were making that game, because that game, it's got a talking gun. Like, how did you feel about this?
The weapons are talking trash, bro. Like the one scene where the knife with the eyeballs, like you were stabbing. He was like, "Yeah, stab him." Listen, bro, I like to be entertained. I like mostly all genres of games, except for maybe real-time strategy. I'm not a big fan of those, but I mean, it looks interesting to me. I remember a game on the original Xbox called, was it Stranger? The Stranger? It was one of those, damn it. I think it was called Stranger. And the ammo, it was a first-person game. The ammunition was alive, kind of similar to this. But this one seems to be way over the top. And I play all types of games, man. So I'm definitely interested in this one. I give it a try. If I don't like it, I uninstall it.
All right, so this next one now, because like I said, with the kinds of High and Light with me, it's something I'm gonna dabble in. I don't know if I'm gonna play like the full game, but I'm gonna at least try and download it. I know people like to clown that feature in Game Pass where people don't beat games that they download, but I'm all for it. If I don't like your game, I feel like I didn't spend zero interest or investment into the game. Exactly. I can leave at any time. I know BG loves to clown that aspect, but We're gonna go to all Riot games coming to Game Pass now. It's the PC version. It's not the full game because a lot of Riot games are free to play. Now, normally I wouldn't really talk about this, but I do feel like this is a good move on the PC portion because, you know, we love to clown on PC exclusive games because it doesn't really appeal to a lot of console exclusive games, especially the PlayStation demographic, because they have a lot more of, you know, third person type of games, and I don't really see that on the PC bracket like that. But they have Valorant, which is one of the most popular games in the industry right now, believe it or not. They got a lot of those type of games. Now, they are breeding. If you get Game Pass PC or Game Pass Ultimate, you have access to all of the operators. Kind of like, just to give you an example, BG, it's like that free-to-play where you have to buy the character. Or if you don't buy the character, you have... I don't know if there's like season pass stuff. It's like Rainbow Six Siege, where every character you have to purchase with in-game currency or real money. Now, you get Game Pass, you get all of them off all their games. And I do feel like this is something that is going to help them break in to the PC market a little bit, because you have the biggest games on PC. They're going to gravitate towards this, and especially, you know, if they have certain heroes that they don't want to commit to, pay $10 one time and you can try any of them that you want. And I guess they're hoping that leaks over into the actual Game Pass itself with their first party, third party. You know, BG, I want to hear you on this because I feel like this is something you don't give two shits about, but I do feel like you can understand why they would invest into this.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense because they're trying to bolster, you know, well, is this going to Game Pass on PC? Because, you know, there are two different things. Okay, so yeah, it makes sense. You know, they're trying to you know, support both Game Pass on consoles and Game Pass on PC. I don't play any of these Riot these games made by Riot Games. You know, I felt for a while like I'm aging out of the demographic that they make multiplayer games for, in a way, like. And that feels weird, because I'm not sure if I'm aging out or they've completely changed the type of multiplayer games that they used to make. That I think it's the latter, because like when you look at like 5 to 10 years ago, the type of multiplayer games they make then are so different from the type of multiplayer games they make now. And I want the ones they made then to come back. So yeah, this I mean, it's a good move, but nothing I care about.
I think that when I hear you talk about it, I think you like more down to earth, everyone's on the same level games. I don't think you like people having certain abilities.
Yep.
I think the reason I like it is because it puts an element onto it. It's like not only are you playing players, you're playing their character too. So I think that's the reason I like. That's the reason I like Rainbow Six Siege. But Dirt, man, like, tell me, like, look, this is definitely one of those things. Dirt, I looked at this, I rolled my eyes. I was like, ain't nobody cared about these games. When was the last time you in a podcast people say I want I actually thought of Valorant coming to Xbox was about to follow up on that. Unfortunately, that didn't happen. But how did you feel when you saw these? Because I actually think it was a big deal.
Yeah, well, me personally, I'm not a PC gamer at all. I've heard of the games and I've heard of how popular some of these games are. So one of my partners on like WBG, he was like, yo, this is a big deal. And I said, oh, okay. Then I saw the games and I said, I guess it's good for, you know, Xbox Game Pass. It makes business sense. Me personally, I could care less personally, but it definitely makes sense for Game Pass on PC because, like you said, these are popular games. And yeah, man, that's all I got to say about that is like, you know, yeah, it makes sense, but I don't care. You know, I was kind of like, oh, okay, what's next? You know, like when I saw it.
All right, so what we're going to do, because I don't want to go over all these games. We'll be here all day. Let me get these super chats real quick, and then we'll go ahead and go over, like, the big games. So we got a $2 super chat from Flame, starting to think Starfield is a pyramid scheme. Oh, Jesus Christ. We got a $5 super chat from Spartan Ghost 17. What do y'all thoughts on Starfield? I'm going to be honest, quality range from good to downright PS3 in that new Atlas section. Pentiment looked interesting to me. We'll get to Starfield here in a minute, man. And then we got a $2 super chat from Spartan Ghost. Redfall looked mid and show was mid. I'm going to be honest. All right, man. We'll get to that here in a second. All right, so let's talk about Forza. I don't care about Forza. I'm going to be real with you. Mm-hmm. But even me, not caring about Forza, I saw this and was like, that looked good.
Yeah, that looked good.
So how do you feel about this?
I thought it looked great, man. Like he muted his mic. No, I thought it looked good when they showed it. You know, like we knew. He said, okay, Turn 10 usually do Forza Motorsport games every 2 years. They've had pretty much 5.5 years. They're going to have 5.5 years with this game. I thought it looked absolutely incredible, man. I'm more of a Forza Horizon guy, but you better believe I'm going to play this game. Man, the graphics look great. You know, is it me, Attic, or were they talking a little trash? You know, they're kind of talking about that vehicle damage. They're talking about that in-game ray tracing. You know, some of the things they were saying, and it looks incredible to me.
It's kind of interesting that they did have vehicle damage. Normally, to my understanding, because I don't play these things that really, the actual like people who make these cars and stuff, they don't like the vehicle damage.
Right.
So it was kind of interesting that they did that.
And they did a slow down close up of the vehicle damage. They want you to see the vehicle damage. So yeah, I thought it looked good.
Yeah, I actually felt like, I'm not a racing type of person, but I felt like, just what I saw. Obviously, I don't know. That could be the worst racing game in the world. I wouldn't know it. I don't know anything about racing games, but I saw Forza, and I was impressed. But at the same time, I'm like, man, can we move on? Like, do we got to talk about this that long? I do feel like they spent a little long on a racing simulator. BG,
man,
do you even want to make comments on Forza? You're muted.
My bad. Yeah, Forza to me is just really good to look at. You know, I don't like any racing game. You know, it's literally just eye candy. I'm like, every time a new Forza come out, I'm like, that looks amazing. So I would like to play it just to look at it, but you know, that would fade fast, you know, so that's all it is to me.
All right, now we're going to talk about we're going to go down, we're going to try to keep it the first part. We're going to talk about Pentiment. I think that's how you pronounce it. Pentiment. I ain't going to lie to you. I'm not going to say this game is a bad game because I'm pretty sure it's going to be a fun game. But when I saw this and I was envisioning what Obsidian was going to make, this wasn't it. Like, not even a little bit. You know, let's start with Dirt. Dirt, when you first saw this game, because I ain't going to lie, I was a little disappointed. I was like, man, I was like, I don't know because I ain't played it, but that's not a game it looks like it would appeal to me.
Yeah. Look, the game, I'm going to get a game a try, right, when it comes out. But honestly, man, like I mentioned already, when I was watching the show, there was a down part of the show. I was like, so my mood was already going down, and then they showed that game, you know, which is obviously Xbox first party. I knew it was a small game made by a small team, but I was expecting, you know, like my boy Shaun 786 said, I was expecting like maybe some 12-minute graphics, you know, some just like a smaller game with some better graphics. And when I saw that, I was like, what the? Bro, I was like, is this Pentiment? Is this the what?
And you know,
no, like I said, the game might be fine. It might be fun, might have a deep story, but I was let down with Pentiment.
I just saw that it didn't look RPG-ish. I don't know. Maybe I need to get out of this mentality where I feel like a studio needs to stick to what it makes good. Like Naughty Dog, I don't want them making first-person shooters all of a sudden. I don't want Obsidian drifting too far from, you know, RPGs. That's why I was a little disappointed with Grounded. Now, I'm not going to say this is going to be a bad game. But when I looked at this, I was like, this just doesn't look like what I would want Obsidian to do. Now, clearly, this is the type of game that gets 90 pluses, and that's crazy. Like this,
it could easily get that right.
It's just, it depends on the scale of the game, the story. People like a good story. BG, I already know you was laughing at this. Like this, I already know you was laughing at this.
I like Obsidian, but I'm like, this is below y'all, and I get like it's probably like a very small team. Yeah, because they're working on like 3 or 4 projects right now. Mm-hmm. So I get it's probably like a very small team that worked on it, but I'm like, who does this appeal to? Right? I think about it, and like you're right. These are the type of games that get 90 plus on Metacritic, but it's like, okay, nobody really cares about it. It'll it's not meant for. I'm like, I don't know who it's meant for, honestly. And this is like, it doesn't look fun. I'm like, the visual, the art style. I'm like, it's not even pleasing to look at. There's just nothing appealing about it to me, and I'm just like, y'all could have done something that would have been more entertaining on a smaller scale, a different genre, like a little small arcade game that would have appealed to more gamers. Man, I looked at this and I was like, I don't know what this is.
I'm not saying this isn't an RPG. I don't think they released enough information. I know they did more stuff in the extended show, which I'm gonna be real with you guys. I was stuck on a 17-hour shift. I didn't watch that too closely. Started last night, but I was like, I'm going to sleep. So I just don't. When you think of Obsidian, you think of Stick of Truth. You think of Knights of the Old Republic 2. You think of The Outer Worlds. You think of Fallout New Vegas. And to some point, Grounded. Because, I mean, even though that I don't think none of us really play Grounded, it was a successful game.
Yeah, it is a successful game, yeah.
But when I look at the Pentiment, it's just like, I just look at that, I'm like, I just don't see how we get to this style game. It's not even really about the level of quality of the game. It's just about, like, what type of game is it? Because it doesn't look like their type of game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, that's how I felt, too. I was really surprised. Like, oh, this is Pentiment. This is it? I was surprised. Like, I was expecting something a little better. But, like I said, the game could be dope. We obviously don't know. But, yeah, I was expecting something different.
I mean, at the end of the day, if they want to do these little passion projects and they reward people for, making good games like The Outer Worlds, Avowed, then let them have the passion projects. I do think from here going forward, when these studios make passion projects that's not like the studio that they work for, they need to be a little bit more transparent with that. And I think that was the key thing. People didn't expect what they got. They expected a different type of game.
Yeah, and like, passion projects has almost become an excuse for making a game that nobody wants to play. That's usually what passion projects turn out to be. It's like, this small scale game that a few people on the team are really excited to make, but it's really for them. It's not for the gamers or the general audience, because they don't want it or they don't care about it and they're not going to play it. So if like, I get part of being a developer is making a game that excites you.
Yeah.
But you're not making it for yourself. You're making it for an audience. And if the audience ain't gonna care about it, what's the point of making it?
And let me ask a question. With the exception of Grounded, maybe what game has, I agree with what you're saying. What passion project has been a tremendous success, like a small game? Like, I know Grounded is a success. It might not be our style of game, but it is a success.
I wonder
I'm
if
trying to
Sea
think.
of Thieves turned out was a passion project at first.
Yeah, but that's like a big team.
I don't think
though.
so.
No, like that's a big team. I mean, a small passion
Bleeding
project.
Edge didn't do that well.
Yeah, they didn't.
And I honestly felt like Bleeding Edge didn't do well because it wasn't properly supported. They would have delayed
because
that
the game wasn't
6
that
months.
bad.
Yeah, they delayed that game
bad.
6 months to a year. Had a couple closed betas, made it into the preview program.
More
took
content,
feedback from the community and stopped making the game that you want to play that you don't care if other people want to play. Because I do think it was slow. I don't think it was as slow as some people acted. Like, people acted like that was like the 10 frame second.
And some people
game.
are naming, like, Ori is not a passion project. Ori has a big budget behind it. Like, that Ori has a lot of development behind it.
I mean, like a passion project with a small budget.
Minecraft might have been a passion project, but it's the exception, not the rule. Yeah. Like, Minecraft is a phenomenal. Among Us, I get you. I'll give you that. Among Us. I'll give you Among Us.
Okay, well, that's a good one then. Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah, I'll give you. But I feel like Among Us had a multiplayer feature, and keep in mind, Among Us came out like a year and a half before it blew up. It was streamers that took that game to the next level. And we're not saying this game isn't going to do good. I'm just saying from an aspect of playing Obsidian games for the past couple years, I personally felt like it didn't meet the expectation that I had in my head. That's a me problem. 100% understand that. That's a me problem. But when I looked at this game, I'm like, I didn't see the RPG-ish in that. I just didn't. And, let them make it. Because I do feel like if you consistently put out good games, who are we to say this game's not to be good? But I am agreeing with BG a little bit. just because a developer wants that ideal on paper and in a game form doesn't mean people are going to buy it. There's a reason that people don't greenlight certain games, because they don't see the audience for it, and they don't see people actually supporting that in terms of finances. But maybe something like Game Pass lets them make these passion projects. Because let's be real here. If Pentiment wasn't made, it's not really taking away from anything. It was only like, 10, 15 people?
Yeah.
So it's not like it was taking away from anything, but I do feel like in terms of this game, I look at it, and I'm just like, man, I could have used something else, like maybe a turn-based game, because they're known for those too. But it is what it is. So
yeah, I mean, the game might be okay though. Like it's supposed to be a deep narrative, so I'm definitely going to give it a try though. I might eat my words and love it. You never know.
Yeah, I mean, I hope I eat my words on that. And it's like we're not even saying the game's bad. It just, when I look at it, I'm just like, I just don't see the appeal. And maybe it's because I need to watch that thing in the extended Microsoft show, and I'll probably watch that after the show. But when I look at it, I'm just like, I guess that's what it was. I wanted something different, and I have every right to want something different, chat. I have every right. All right, so they talked about Grounded when it's originally coming out. We don't need to go into that too much. It's cool. It's Grounded. I actually probably going to play that with my girlfriend, because I feel like, she might like the mechanics of building stuff. We got Diablo 4. BG, BG, this looks like your type of game, Diablo 4.
I think I played a Diablo game for maybe a few minutes. That's it.
You don't like Diablo games?
I have no insight on Diablo.
What's your type of games? This is like third-person action-adventure games? Like that's it?
Nah, I mean, listen.
I think the chat right, man. They calling you out saying you only like third-person games.
No,
third-person action-adventure games.
That's not it at all. I tell people all the time, I play all genres, but it's very specific games in the genres. Like, I play Age of Empires, right?
He does play that.
I play Age of Empires. I play XCOM.
He does play that.
But I don't play any other game like Age of Empires. You know what I'm saying? It'll always be like one or two games in these more obscure genres that I play, right? It'll never be like more than one of them. Like there's another game like that plays like, what's Van Helsing? It's literally plays just like Diablo. And people would say, Diablo is a way better game than like something like Van Helsing. So why don't you play Diablo? I don't know. Like, that's just the way it is for me. There's just very specific games within the genre that I will play, and I won't play a bunch of them because all of them just don't appeal to me. So,
I actually. Well, how do you feel about Dirt? Do you play these type of games?
You know what? Honestly, I never played a Diablo game. Like I said, I know the last one was on console. Like, was the first two on console? I don't know.
I don't know if 2 and 1 was on console, but I do know 1 and 2,
but 3 went.
Okay, yeah. I remember 3 was on console, but I never tried it. But this one looks very interesting. It looks. I thought it looked pretty good actually. I'm definitely willing to try it, man. Like whenever it comes out. So
All right.
I'm the type of guy. I would try any type of genre. I give it a try. If I like it, I like it. If I don't, I don't.
Especially considering, hopefully by the time this game comes out, because it is next year, most likely it's going to be in Game Pass. So we got a 24-month member chat from Region G4, hashtag IOP, hashtag WBG, and hashtag TTS. I don't know what TTS is.
Talk that shit. That's the other podcast. Here's my boy Shaun podcast. Rain G4. Oh, hey, yo, what's up, man? I didn't even see that. What's up, bro?
And then we got a $2 super chat from Spartan Ghost 17. Y'all forget that Game Pass isn't the hardcore. I agree with you. And it's like I said, going back a little bit to Pentiment, like that's probably going to resonate with a lot of people. That's not the type of gamer that is interested in Obsidian games. And maybe that's the overall goal, is to open up their studio to more people than just RPGs. And I don't even know, this game might have some RPG elements, but when I looked at it, it didn't seem like that RPG type of game that you would play. Let's talk about this. Now, I know me and BG probably going to like this guy. I don't know about you, Dirt. I don't know about you. Mm-hmm. Wulong Fallen Dynasty. All right, so apparently this is made by ex-developers that made the producer for Neo and the producer for Bloodborne. It's supposed to be a little bit faster than Neo, but not as fast as something like like Tekken, not Tekken, Tenchu, or however you pronounce that game. So which is funny is I think Neo is like one of the fastest Souls-like games out there. That's interesting. It's because I never played Tenchu, the game that just went in Game Pass a whole lot. I think that's the game they're comparing it to. Did you ever play that, BG?
Oh, you said Tenchu.
You said Tenchu?
Not Ninja
Gaiden?
Ninja Gaiden, yeah. That's the one
okay.
I played. I definitely played Tenchu back in the day, but Ninja Gaiden, I played like one of the Ninja Gaidens. I don't even remember which one it was.
I guess Ninja Gaiden seems to be the person. I don't know. It was neither Tenchu or Ninja Gaiden they were comparing it to. They were comparing the speed of the game, and they said it's like midway between one of those games and Neo. So I'm kind of curious if people are going to really gravitate towards this game once it actually comes out. And keep in mind, this is a very big game that's coming into Game Pass day and date. Like, it's a third-party, probably AAA type of game. It's a Team Ninja game. I personally think if this game works out well for them, Microsoft needs the type of studio that makes these type of games. And I think, I honestly think that Microsoft should look at Team Ninja if this game does well. Now, clearly, the Final Fantasy fiasco game they just made recently, that was probably like the D team at this point. They made that Final Fantasy game, and I don't think that game did very well. But I honestly feel like Team Ninja is a good game. And the reason I would say that they might need to look into that company buying them if they do buy that anything related to that type of genre is because I honestly feel like From Software is a giant bag waiting to be bought. And I think Sony will eventually buy them because they have a good relationship with them. Half of the From Software library is exclusive besides the Dark Souls games. So it's just like, to me, you want Team Ninja because you want to make sure that if that goes that way, you still have access to decent games. Clearly, Team Ninja is no From Software. That's just how it is. Right. But you could build them to be somewhere close to them. But I feel like if they lose From Software eventually, and that might not ever happen, but if they lose From Software and Team Ninja was never bought, like, let's say Sony just goes crazy and buys all games like that, because I mean I think you can agree, BG, that genre used to be small, but throughout the years it's gotten bigger and bigger and bigger. Yeah. And I think that Elden Ring has put that into the mainstream, that type of gameplay.
Yeah, I mean, I've beaten Neo 1 and 2. I was hearing that some people were a little unsure exactly how this game is gonna play. Like, some people are saying it might be like one of those Muzu games. But if it's something like in the vein of what they've made, recently, then yeah, I would be interested in it. But because that, they didn't really show, like actual gameplay. I think it was like kind of cutscene, sizzle reel, trailer. I need to see some actual gameplay.
Yeah, considering that game's supposed to come out at the beginning of next year, I feel like this getting delayed. We didn't see gameplay. There's a reason we didn't see gameplay. Like, to me, if you show a trailer and you say, yo, this game's come out in 6 months to a year, and we don't see one lick of gameplay really in that whole trailer, what makes you think I'm gonna believe you? That game's getting delayed. There's no way that game's coming. I hope I'm wrong. But it's like I said, it's looks like it's going to be a good game. It's going to be in Game Pass, so I think that's going to really help Microsoft give value to that service.
I think it's a good thing, man. Because last generation, all of these types of games, they skipped Xbox platform, period. They skipped them, period. So to see that, it's on the Xbox and in Game Pass, that's a dope thing also. So, yeah, I mean, I'm definitely interested in this game to see what's up with it. So it's good to see them getting some more of these types of games on the Xbox platform.
Yeah, and the next one, I know BG don't care about this game. Yeah, we've said that like almost every game, but we're going to move on. Personas. Persona's coming to Game Pass and coming to the Xbox platform with Game Pass. I think this is probably the announcement that was the biggest to me by far. For those of you that's been watching ILP, for those of you that's been seeing my public outcries, I've literally been crying about this for like a year and a half to 2. I want Persona. Where's Persona? I want Persona. Clearly, we're still missing Final Fantasy VII. Tomorrow,
that's coming, bro. Is that coming to Xbox?
I don't know. We're going to talk about that here in a second because there's some weird stuff going on out there. We're going to talk about it here in a second. But, Persona coming to the platform, there's not really a whole lot to talk about that. I do think it's good for the Xbox platform to finally start getting these kind of games.
Absolutely.
Now, obviously, it's like 5 years late. Didn't it come out in like 2016 or something like that? I mean, geez. Like, some wars have been big. Some wars have fought in this amount of time that we got Persona. It is what it is. It's just like, look, I love that they got this, but Microsoft, if you don't get Persona 6 into your platform day and date, not Game Pass, into Xbox, and you don't get, hopefully the next Final Fantasy, don't know if that's going to happen, or the next Dragon Quest, what's the point in getting the predecessors? I don't think there's a point in that. You have every Final Fantasy almost known to man on Xbox now, but we ain't getting 16. We ain't getting Final Fantasy 7 Part 2, and we ain't getting Final Fantasy 7 Part 1. I don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. They could announce it. There's going to be some type of event tomorrow. Probably not. I'm going to be real with you guys. We got a $5 super chat from Treybone408. We're not the only hardcore gamers. There's others that are hardcore, but for different genres. Not every game is for people who want mature games always. I definitely understand that point to a little bit.
That's definitely true.
And then we got a 10-month chat from Lucius Augustus. Shout out to BG. I may not agree with you 90% of the time, but I typically respect where you are coming from. Salute to Addict and Dirt.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so let's go ahead and
salute to you.
Yeah, so let's go ahead and talk about the Kojima thing. You guys know, been watching ILP, I'm not a fan of Kojima. Like, not even a little bit. I even make jokes sometimes saying that he belongs in a straitjacket because of the stuff that man says in his mind. He's like, I always felt like he would do better in the cinematic universe, making movies, making TV shows.
Well, he's supposed to be doing that, isn't he?
Yeah, that's what I feel like he should be doing. I know, BG, you right there with me. You're not a big fan of Kojima.
I'm a fan of, everybody knows I hated Death Stranding. I'm a fan of his previous games. Of course, most people like Metal Gear. I'm just not a fan of how he moves. I think he wants to be a director for movies more than a game developer. That's why, in Death Stranding, he has all these A-list, whatever list celebrities they are. The game is just full of celebrities,
right?
Acting and everything like that. And he's just full of himself. And the industry parades him around that way. That's why he acts like that. What other developer could show up to a conference, announce nothing, but they act like he just dropped a megaton. Like, he literally showed up. It's like somebody said it was like that I don't know if you that Sailor Moon meme where the dude shows up and he's like, "You're welcome," and she's like, "You didn't do anything." That's literally what happened. He just showed up, showed face, and did nothing, and and left. I'm like, bro, what?
He did something, BG.
What he did? What he did?
He did something. Well, first off, let me say this. I'm not a huge fan of him, but I did like his previous games. I hated his last two games. I did not like Death Stranding. I did not like Metal Gear Solid 5, but I enjoy all of the previous Metal Gear games, 1, 2, 3, and 4. But I understand he's a legend in the industry. But what he did, to me, now this is just from my ex-bot fanboy mind, he proved a lot of people wrong. That's what he did for me. Now, I understand what everybody says. He didn't announce the game. Well, they announced that he's working on the game for Xbox exclusively. He's probably still making the PlayStation game at the same time. But a lot of people said this would never happen. A lot of people said there's no way in hell Kojima is going to make an exclusive game for Xbox. I have receipts. I mean, I kept them for years.
You got a folder in your phone for unique situation, don't you? It's like is all your receipts in one folder? Or do you got multiple folders for different?
I have multiple folders with receipts. And listen, I'm being 100% honest with you. I had a Kojima would not make an Xbox exclusive folder because when we heard the rumor, I said, Jeff Grubb seems to be a reliable guy. So after he announced that, people just started, no way in hell. And I actually did a video about it. I didn't say one word in the video. I just played music and showed the receipts. So it was funny to me because guys are saying it would never happen. So that's the only reason why I really enjoyed it. Now, I'm interested to see what type of game it will be. Will I like it? Who the hell knows? But, he is a creative guy.
And I think actually the super chat, I'm going to read it real quick because it has a lot to do with what we're talking about. 2 super chat from Spartan Ghost 17. Kojima got good ideas but can't write to save his life. I actually think that is the very good accuracy when it comes to him. He has good ideas to evolve the industry, good features he could put in games, but he can't. I don't see that coming good in terms of gameplay. You know what I'm saying? Like, because you got to do. There's difference between making a TV show and a movie than making a game. You got to have interaction between the player and the actual product. You got to have a good way of telling a story through 40 hours to 20 hours plus, depending on how long the game is. That amount of time throughout that whole time. You got to be able to keep the player's interest, be able to slowly earn stuff to make them. Man, being a developer sucks. It's just like, so BG, I know, you don't have an Xbox or anything like that. Do you think that just him being up there was big for the Xbox brand, like showing that they are working with people like Kojima?
I can't really think it did anything for Xbox other than maybe partially upset some fanboys, some PlayStation dudes who, for some reason, would be mad that he's making an Xbox game. I can't, but I don't think it did anything else because like a Kojima game isn't gonna, move the needle for Xbox. I think in one way or another. It's it's a good thing to have, but like I said, me personally, like I said, I didn't like Death Stranding. I didn't like MGS5. I think Kojima needs a handler to keep him in check. He's a little bit insane.
I agree with that.
So yeah, it didn't do anything for me.
All right, so we're going to go ahead and move on to... there's a couple little topics before we go into the Starfield stuff. The extended... I don't really want to go over too much of that because I didn't really watch that. But if you want... Because I'm sure you watched it. If you want to go over specific announcements that we can here in a second. I want to talk about this thing that's just went out on Twitter. So for those of you who know, there's this... true insider, I call him, man. He's the only PlayStation insider that's ever been right on anything, and his name is the Snitch.
Yeah, yeah.
So
he's been 100% so far.
So it's interesting because Final Fantasy's having an event tomorrow. I'm sure you know about it, BG. So they're having one. They're hyping this up. This is the first time I've ever seen Square Enix hype up this type of stream. Like, they've been doing nothing but tweet about it. So the Snitch, being the Snitch, he tweeted a picture of Zach, Cloud, and Aerith. Zach and Cloud on the right, Aerith on the back. Looks like some kind of Crisis Core picture. Now, keep in mind, this might not be Crisis Core because of all the stuff that happened in the remake. This might be something that is in part 2. I don't know. But what's more interesting is at the top of it, it has a blue square, a red square, and a black square, and a green square. So this is probably Crisis Core because it's the only thing I can feel I can run on the Switch. That's just my personal opinion. So if Crisis Core comes out, and it is on the... Because there is a green square. If it comes on the Xbox, that's interesting. Because to me, seeing Final Fantasy on Xbox in any way, shape, or form right now gets me excited. What do you guys feel about this? Do you think that...
But I'm trying to figure out
what
is really the point in bringing Crisis Core to like current platforms right now, though. Like,
because it might. I think that part 2 is going to go a different way than people think, and I think I personally. Okay, spoiler alert for a remake came out years ago. Not my fault. Zack is alive at the end of it. So I think they want to introduce newer audiences to Zack because he's alive in it. So I think that's the reason that they would bring it back. Keep in mind, this might be a part 2. I don't know how part 2 would fit on a Switch, but we're going to roll with it. Might be a Steam version.
And why would, if it was part 2, why would he highlight Zack,
No, because Zach's alive in part 2.
Yeah, but still, like, okay, but if they bring part 2 to like all these platforms, you would assume part 1 is coming also.
Well, they might announce that. I don't know. It
but
was highly rumored it was coming out. Even Rand said it was supposed to come out, but it never got announced.
And that's the thing. Like, if I'm teasing that it's part 1 and part 2 coming to all these platforms, I'm just not necessarily going to use Zach. Like, that's oddly specific to use Zach. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, we know he's alive in the remake, but that's very specific, you know, to highlight Zach. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, and plus, if you didn't play the first one, you wouldn't know that he even was anyway, unless you played the old games. So Dirk, I know that we talk about, you know, Xbox needs to do better in highlighting these older games and get them to their platform. Maybe this is a publishing thing where Square Enix can get away with doing it. It's interesting that if this is a publishing thing, maybe Sony their exclusive game deals has ran out. Because it's just interesting that this game might be coming to Xbox. Not even about the game. It's about the fact that we didn't get part 1. We didn't get pretty much every Square Enix game that's came out in the past couple years that wasn't made before then that has came out is going to be nowhere near the Xbox platform. But the snitch put that green box in there, which makes me think that maybe that deal that Square Enix and PlayStation has made is over.
I guess it's possible, man. You know, we've heard for years that Phil Spencer would be going back and forth to Japan for whatever reason. And I know Phil Spencer has heard a lot of Xbox fans say, yo, man, why is all of these games skipping the Xbox? Why are all these games, you know, like nowhere near the Xbox? Obviously, you know, they still have work to do. But I think it's good to see some of these games coming to the Xbox platform. Like, I'm not really interested, me personally, but I mean, how can you, you know, like not say this is a good thing? Now, as far as the deal, it seems like possible. Maybe those deals do have expiration date. I'm not sure, but it seems like maybe they do. I mean, every contract has an expiration date, right? Eventually, right? So,
it depends if it's game-wise or years-wise. Like, most of the time, these are game-wise because it could take years to make. If you make a deal for 10 years, that theoretically, that's only like 3 games. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So, and then not to mention, if you get into situations like the pandemic, that 10 years might turn into 2 games because games were delayed.
Yeah, absolutely. So, yeah, it's a good thing, man. You know, that's all I can say because I don't know much about the franchise, honestly. I'm just going by what you guys have said. It's never been on the Xbox part 1 and 2. Has there been a part 2? Or you guys said this?
There's part 1 was
part 2
made
is coming
for
up.
the PS4 and PS5. Part 2 hasn't been announced yet. We did get Final Fantasy, like the older ones, 7, 8, 9, 10, 12. That's on the Xbox now.
I remember
but it does seem the past couple years, the majority of the games. Now, their last Square Enix's, they had Strangers of Paradise. That's like the Team Ninja game I was clowning on earlier. That did show up on Xbox, but that was their last game.
Right.
Forspoken isn't on Xbox.
Right.
Final Fantasy 16 isn't on Xbox. What's funny, Square Enix publishes games that don't go on Xbox, like Triangle Strategy, but that's not on PlayStation either. So it's going to be interesting to see if 15 was on Xbox, but that's been years ago, like 2011.
That was 2015,
maybe
15.
Yeah, that's been years ago, 7 years ago. We ain't really got something since then. Chrono Cross, I see, but we're talking about Final Fantasy because that's what's been really staying away, is those Final Fantasy teams. So, all right, I know, BG, you don't care about Fallout games, do you?
About Fallout? No.
I think we finally found out why he don't like Xbox.
I tried Fallout 3. That was the first Fallout game I tried. I was like, this game is terrible. I don't know how people like this. Then I was like, you know what? Let me when Fallout 4 came out, I was like, let me try this again. You know, maybe it was just to retry that. Still hated it. I was like, yeah, this series ain't for me.
Hey, can I say something?
Yeah,
that's exactly what happened with me. I tried Fallout 3 was the first one I tried. I didn't care for it on the 360. Bought Fallout 4. You know, obviously this was like before the ZeniMax acquisition. It's just not for me. It's just not for me.
I get that, and you know, Fallout's not for everyone. Just like pretty much Bethesda games in general aren't for everyone.
Yeah.
But what I find interesting is, I guess Todd Howard must have slipped up a little bit. I don't know if he intentionally said this or not. But he did kind of say we're not making a Fallout 5 until Elder Scrolls 6. Mm-hmm. And we're not getting Elder Scrolls 6 till probably 2025, 2026 at the earliest. So it literally might be, I might be 40 years old before we get a Fallout 5. I know you guys don't care about that. I know Fallout 5 don't have to show up, but to me, maybe it's because Microsoft sees the catalog that they have. They got the Elder Scrolls 6 coming out. They got the Outer Worlds 2. They got Avowed. They got Starfield. Exile's game.
And Exile's making, yeah.
Maybe they look at that and it's like, we don't necessarily need Fallout because we're having all these other ones. But I disagree. I feel like Fallout is such a huge franchise. To not give the community that game is not disrespectful, but it's not a good look, man. Like, you need to work with Bethesda, get people they trust, and let them make their own team. Outsource. I don't care what you got to do. You can, because if you start in 2024, 2025 on a Fallout 5 when the Elder Scrolls thing starts dying down, you're not going to see a Fallout 5 till probably 2020, 2030, 2031. Yeah. Like, and that's why I'm like, you can't make me wait 8 years for a Fallout game.
So you're saying they need to somehow build another team or outsource for Fallout 5?
I'm a big fan of co-development. I think Obsidian and Bethesda should work on Fallout together. Have a couple people from each side come together and form a new team. I think that would be the best output. I would love if Obsidian and Bethesda Software Studios co-developed a game. That'd be the craziest stuff ever. How do you think they should do that, BG? Or you think Fallout for the bushes, man? Who cares about Fallout?
I mean, listen, the only thing close to Fallout I did really like, I played Outer Worlds, and I loved Outer Worlds, man.
Yeah, I enjoyed it. Damn, that's funny. Like, we got different tastes, but I love Outer Worlds also, though.
It's so weird because the people would say Outer Worlds is similar to Fallout, right? But I think Fallout sucks, and I think Outer Worlds is great. So, that's what I'm looking for.
See, now the thing with me though, I don't know about you guys. I'm much older than you guys. I matured as a gamer. Like games like The Witcher 3, I finished The Witcher 3. I loved it. I put like 200 hours in Assassin's Creed Valhalla. I would have never done that back when I was you guys' age. So I kind of matured. So maybe I would give Fallout another chance. Again, I never played an Elder Scrolls game at all. I'm definitely going to give it a try. But me personally, maybe I will give those games a try more with an open mind. But I tried to do that with Fallout 4. I just didn't like it. But so I see what you guys are saying. I love the Outer Worlds like you did. So it was kind of weird. I didn't like Fallout, but I love the Outer Worlds. And I'm looking forward to Outer Worlds too. So,
and I think a lot of that has to do is like Outer Worlds gives you a little bit of freedom, but it doesn't let you. It doesn't like they give you freedom, but on a leash. If that makes sense. So like they kind of direct you where you go. They do give you the options of telling different stories by having options, but they don't be like, just cut the leash. Just go do what you want to do. They kind of give you an infrastructure that you do. They don't let you go to any planet you want from the get-go. You got some planets you got to work up to. And I think that might be the reason people like the Outer Worlds, because you still get that feeling of the Fallout franchise, but you don't get that you're just wild and you go anywhere you want to feeling.
Mm-hmm. All
right, so let's go ahead and get to the meat and potatoes, man. Starfield and Redfall. We'll start with Redfall. I will say one thing. BG, what was your expectations of Redfall going into this, and what was the outcome when you saw this gameplay?
First, just to say, address something said in the chat. Some people think I like Outer Worlds more than Fallout because Outer Worlds has better graphics. Does that make sense to anybody? Like when you say that out loud, you think I like one?
Well, they're kind of different, like artwork too. I don't think it's really about the graphics.
Exactly. Like nobody. I'm not gonna dislike Fallout. So you think so? Do you think I would like Fallout if it had better graphics? No, I still wouldn't like Fallout because of the gameplay. So I just would have. I'm like, that comment made no sense. I'm like, y'all gotta say stuff out loud. before y'all type it and realize how stupid y'all sound sometimes. But Redfall, honestly, I always thought the game was just going to be. I thought it was going to be Back for Blood with vampires, and that's what I still think it's going to be. I think it's going to be Back for Blood with vampires. You know, with I think maybe a little bit more creative abilities. I'm not into really the co-op shooters. I think some people said this is actually might be a looter shooter. I think so. I can't remember.
I don't know if they said a looter shooter. I don't remember. I don't know. Like maybe it is. Maybe
I can't remember exactly. But I'm not into the co-op. First person shooters. I don't think most people are really into them anymore. I think people really play them for like 3 weeks to a month and kind of drop them because developers have been trying to recapture Left 4 Dead since Left 4 Dead, and nobody's been able to do it, right? Nobody has been able to have the longevity of Left 4 Dead. There's been several games that have tried to recreate the formula, and all of them just haven't lived up to it. I know you could play it solo, like, it's not necessarily something you have to play with friends, but I think it's one of those games that's designed for you to play with friends, and it's just not my type of game, and I think it's it's just not really that appealing, it's not doing anything for me.
I do think that, like, because they are a little bit of RPG mechanics that's in Back for Blood, but I do think this RPG is going to be a little bit more centered in this game. There was an exclusive interview that someone sent me on Twitter. I still ain't got to watch it because I literally woke up, almost went straight into this. I need to watch that. But what I will say about this is, regardless, we did see like skill trees and stuff like that. I wish they would have been a little bit more open with that during the main show. Like, be a little bit more vocal on what separates this from games like that. And I think that was the biggest problem with this. The abilities is nice. I like the chick that had the elevator thing. Now, I will say that the way they described the elevator in that CGI scene last year and the way it worked didn't really do one for one to me. It seemed like it was something that would go up, not shoot you up. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Like, it felt like something.
A trampoline.
Yeah, and I kind of was disappointed about that. But what I will say about Redfall is I came in here with almost no expectations on this game, and I left, be like, okay, maybe I'll try it. You know what I'm saying? Like you look at my reactions on the Iron Lords podcast channel, I was like, oh, because it first off, look, is it the best looking game ever? No, but I don't think it looks bad by any means. Maybe I felt like the blood could have been dripping at the beginning when it was on the ceiling fan. I felt like it could have been dripping, but that's little details that go a long way, but it's never been the end-all be-all for me. So I do think that this is going to be a good game for people who want to play it with their friends. One of the things that I've noticed when it comes to Game Pass is it's really nice to be able to sell someone something without them having to really buy it. Just sub to Game Pass, download Redfall, and we'll play. And I think that's what really got me, is the fact that I had such low expectations for the game. When I looked at it, I was like, man, this game actually looks pretty good. Dirt, you going to be playing this game?
Absolutely, man. First off, let me say this. I'm a huge fan of Arcane. I love the Dishonored series. I love Prey. I love their games. And if you have a studio that you trust, you just trust them, right? Like most people trust Naughty Dog. They're going to make a great game. Some people, trust whoever, and I trust Arcane. So
Arcane's a good studio.
Yeah, I love their games.
Dishonored. I love Dishonored.
I love all of both of the Dishonors. I love the DLC. I love Prey, and I believe this Arcane Austin is the team that made Prey. So, they're doing this game now. Let me tell you something.
Deathloop was a good game too.
Yeah, I haven't played it yet. I have my PS5 now, but I'm just gonna wait till it comes to Xbox. But let me say this. When we saw the CGI trailer last year, I said, this looks interesting, but you just don't know what to expect, right? So seeing actual gameplay, I thought it looked dope. Now, this is just my opinion. I feel this is a single-player game with co-op. I think they're trying to push the co-op, but there were some things said by Pete Hines yesterday that made me think this is a single player game that your friends can play with you also.
I actually have the opposite opinion. I think this is a co-op game that they say you could play by yourself.
Yeah,
if it's the first a single player game with co-op, right? I probably will have more interest in it, only because the single player games, with co-op tend to rely on actually developing a fun game, while co-op games tend to rely on the fun just being of the fact that you're playing with your friends. So.
Right. I agree with that. Yeah. Well, like, this is just my opinion. I think it's a single player game with co-op, and of course, if you've seen the like recent news, if you play co-op, the only person's story progresses is the host. To me, that's a giveaway that
would push a lot for being a single player thing, but
yeah, that's why I think so.
I feel like we've seen that stuff in like State of Decay, if I remember correctly. Like, it goes off the single player too.
Yeah, it does. It does.
But I personally feel like if that's the case, they're really pushing co-op. I feel like if you push a single player game, that's the single, like, you show co-op games, but it's one of those things that's like the side thing. If you want to see the co-op gameplay, go watch it. Over here, we got a YouTube video, but I feel like they've always highlighted the co-op experience of the game. And I feel like a game, depending on how they market, is what the game was designed to do. And to me, they've always marketed this as a co-op experience game. Pete Hines saying that was like the only time I've ever heard them really try to act like this game can be played in a single player fashion that would be fun. I'm not saying it's not going to be fun. I just feel like BG said, if a game is designed for a co-op experience, they expect you to play with other people. The only game I've ever played without a buddy was like Resident Evil 5. It was annoying, but it was tolerable. But that game was definitely designed for you to have another person, because he would get killed by like puzzles, like the laser puzzle. If you had an AI, sometimes he wouldn't go to a spot on the map that would keep him alive, and you would rotate the little laser thing and it would kill him every time. So it's like features like that was put in the game that's clearly a co-op experience type of game, but when you play the game as a single player game, you could play. I see like Resident Evil. Hopefully, Redfall is that type of game. Now, most likely I'm going to play this with other people. But that doesn't really bother me too much. I prefer a co-op game being made from the ground up to be something like It Takes Two, Resident Evil 5, not even Resident Evil 6, something that acknowledges the other person is there. Like in Resident Evil 5, you had to like twist a little thing backwards, and you had to do a lot of stuff that required two people, and they done it well. Like I said, Resident Evil 5 was one of the very few games I felt like was built from a co-op experience that you could play by yourself. There's a couple places in the game that would annoy you. But let's go ahead and talk about Starfield. Okay, we're gonna end it with Starfield. You guys know I don't like keeping people here long. I like to get to the point and get out.
I like that.
All right, we got a lot of things that I've brought up, man. If there's anything that's happened, people has talked about Starfield. All right, so let's go over these a little bit, man. First off, let's talk about what's your general thoughts when you saw the gameplay. Expectations going in here. I feel like Starfield was definitely by far the most high expectations when it come to this trailer. We got a story trailer last year with not a whole lot of gameplay, any gameplay actually, and now we're going into this. So first off, I'm going to start with Dirt. When you watch this, what was your general expectation? Now, keep in mind, this is when we're seeing the stuff that hasn't been compressed. We haven't seen 4K trailers, nothing like that. So it's just a live stream. What was your initial thoughts?
My initial thoughts was it looked good. It looked good. It looks like it's going to be a massive game. I like, most Bethesda games you could do third person or first person. I thought the gunplay looked decent. Especially for a game a year out. I thought it looked fine, I would say I was kind of excited for it. I want to see more about the game. A lot of customization. So I think my first thoughts, my initial thoughts was it looks great.
What about you, BG? I know that you're not the biggest fan of these type of games. Did Starfield look like it might move you?
No. It's definitely not something I'm buying. It's funny, like there's a bunch of Bethesda games that I like, they just showed all the ones that I don't like. Well, under the Bethesda umbrella,
you like Wolfenstein, Doom.
I like Wolfenstein. I like Dishonored.
Doom.
You know, I like Evil Within.
One of the reasons that I really I constantly push for like Deathloop is I wanted to make a Dishonored 3. So it's just like, I like Deathloop. Deathloop is a good game, but it's like, give me that Dishonored 3.
Yeah. I love Dishonored. Great game.
Yeah, even like Ghostwire Tokyo, but like I guess the Fallout and the Skyrims, that's the part of Bethesda, like, and I guess that's the main part of Bethesda. That's the part I don't like. So Starfield, yeah, I'm not into, the whole space exploration type of games, besides Outer Worlds. That's the only exception. I think the game, looking at it, it needs like another. I mean, they have another. I think it should launch next year in the fall, at the earliest, right? I don't think
so. Just out of curiosity, BG, what about that made you think it needed? Like, obviously, the performance it was kind of lacking there. I'm kind of I might ask people that do stuff like this, like why they let games that perform bad be on the showcase. Maybe it's like a time structure thing. They don't have enough time to properly because what I've been told, like the performance stuff that's done after the whole game's done pretty much. But it's like, to me, I'd rather you cut that slice out of the game and make sure that portion runs functional than put it on a stage looking like it's 10, 15 frames. I know that maybe that's unrealistic in the type of a development world. I don't know anything about that. But all I do know is you had a bunch of people looking at this saying, the game looks cool, but what's that frame for? Remember Scalebound?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's the technical things that I think is going to require them a lot of time to clean up, because there was a lot of technical hitches and things, a lot of the fine details, like him shooting the I don't know what they are, the pirates, the space pirates, and some of them not reacting at all. They didn't even have an animation to be animation for getting shot. Some people don't care about that small stuff, right? But one of the I'm very particular about shooters that when I shoot an enemy, I want to see visceral reactions. That's one of the reasons why Wolfenstein is probably, I would say, currently my favorite first person shooter, because when you shoot enemies, it's just so impactful, right?
That's what I love about it. It didn't look like there was a lot of gun recoil, and I will admit that there wasn't a lot of blood. Someone brought that in the chat. I didn't see blood at all, actually.
And I think because it's more RPG than an actual shooter, right?
Yeah, it is definitely.
You get that from RPGs. They some enemies won't actually react to being shot. There won't be blood, and that comes with certain RPGs. And I think there was some technical, like you said, the frame rate. Some people were zooming in. I don't care about stuff you got to zoom in 100 times on, but there was a lot of technical stuff, and the game is obviously unfinished. But I think anytime I hear a developer say this is our biggest, most ambitious game ever, that's a red flag to me. Not
that's a red flag.
It's a red flag, because what comes with that is usually the bigger the game is, the more bugs there are. That's just math. That's how it goes, right? Because you're including more things in the game.
Yeah, and we're about to get in the size.
Yeah, more things go wrong. So the bigger you make your game, the more time you need to actually fix any little bugs that may appear here and there, more technical problems here and there. You need a lot of time to fix mechanics that may not work. It could be a million things, and that's what, I worry about when they say they're making something so ambitious, more than they ever made before. That comes with a lot of challenges. So,
all right,
that's what I think they need to, really worry about.
So I asked you, Dirt. So now let's move to the combat a little bit, because we talked about the graphics. Now we can bring up the graphics a little bit in the combat. I do feel like the combat looked a little bit outdated to me, but then again, it's hard to really know how a game feels in terms of first person until you actually play it. But it did look like it was outdated, and I felt like the graphics weren't eye candy, but they weren't the greatest either. You know, they weren't horrible. They weren't eye candy. And I think the issue we're having here is this isn't an Xbox One game. It's a Series S and X game. So I do feel like people have the right to expect it to look better because it is a next-gen only game. How you feel about that, dude? You think that's being a little unrealistic, or you think because it is a next-gen game, you can have more expectations for a game?
First off, it's an Xbox game. It doesn't matter what consoles it's on. It's an Xbox exclusive game. So you know there's going to be microscopes on it more than... If this game was a multiplayer, like, do you think it'd be scrutinized as much as it's been? Honest question.
It just depends on what type of game it is. CD Projekt Red, probably.
No.
Like
I mean, this game...
No,
the same gameplay. If it was a multiplayer, would it be scrutinized as much as it's being scrutinized?
I'm saying it would if it was a different developer. I get what you're saying on Xbox. Like,
I think Bethesda is always gonna, get.
Yeah, they've always got that kind of heat, but I do feel like you're getting it because it is like, now look, 76 kind of doled down the Bethesda brand a little bit, where it's not as many people defending as they used to be. But like Fallout 4ish, you was getting that heat because it was by a beloved company such as Bethesda. Now you're getting into the Starfield territory where there's still those people there, but then you're adding the exclusive on Xbox thing, so it's getting heat from that side too. I think it's getting hit with a double whammy thing. I would say there's a lot more people upset because it's an exclusive, but I do think there are some valid criticism there. I do think there is valid criticism in terms of people having issue with the way it looks in the combat.
And part of it is, once again, it's when you go, on Twitter and you hear people talk about Starfield, it's the same thing that I had the problem with Cyberpunk. Not saying this game is going to turn out like Cyberpunk. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying is prior to Cyberpunk releasing, you had people saying the same thing about Cyberpunk that they're saying about
and that's
Starfield.
What I'm saying. Certain studios get this energy regardless if it's exclusive.
And that's the prop. Sometimes the fans are the downfall of the game because you have fans saying this is going to be the greatest game ever. It's going to be the greatest RPG ever. It's going to be, this amazing, fantastic, groundbreaking, revolutionary game. I'm like, bro, y'all realize if y'all didn't set this game up so high, then maybe the expectations wouldn't be so high. Like that, I don't think people realize that. Like that, it's.
I agree with you.
Why games are so highly criticized?
I will agree with you in terms of us hyping up a game. We do that a lot. I mean, we do it with everything: God of War, movies, TV shows. It doesn't matter. But I will say, them coming out, we're about to talk about saying, 1,000 planets. You could build your ship, and then I love how Todd Howard said, "Oh, and yes, you can fly the ship." So we'll get into that in a minute. I feel like generating statements like that, obviously that could be part of the game, but you didn't really need to say it had 1,000 planets. You know what I'm saying? Like, you could have said it has a mass universe that you could explore, get the same point across, but now people are like, oh, it's got 1,000 planets, let's go! When we don't even really know anything about the 1,000 planets. We don't know if half of them are going to be livable. Clearly, not every planet in Starfield's going to have life on it, because not every planet in our galaxy has planet on it. But it is to a point where, we'll go into the 1,000 planets real quick, right? I do feel like people have a realistic thought process into be like, cool, you have 1,000 planets. But how many of those are we realistically going to play with? How many of those are we realistically going to have stuff
Hines
to do
already
on?
Said a lot of them are going to be barren. Hines already said that.
At that point, are they even... It's different having... How many are barren? Like, we're talking 25, 35%? Half of them?
In my opinion, it's the same as any other game. The brand new NBA 2K. We added 1,000 new animations. Then you play the game, you see the same damn animations. It's the.
But I do feel like the, we'll put in a little bit the you can't enter with ships. You can't enter, like, I guess it's going to, like, you get close enough to a planet, the ship is going to just, like, have you naturally land. And they're going to give you, like point spots that you can land. I don't know. I didn't really go too much into it too much. But apparently you can't, like, enter the atmosphere or something like that. I don't know. They said that wasn't important. I don't really care about that either. But to me, Starfield's always been kind of hyped to you on the exploration of the game. Mm-hmm. Now, 1,000 planets is fine. A lot of them bare, it's fine. But we still have to have some kind of environment, some kind of energy. Even if a planet is empty, I still expect to do something on that empty planet. For instance, Mass Effect. How many times in the original Mass Effect that they clearly, throughout the franchise, fixed? Like, you can't even really go to planets like that in Mass Effect 3. Right. Like, you can, but there's not a lot of them. And then in Mass Effect 2, they even limited even more. That was in Mass Effect 1. My only fear is you'll have about 1,000% of them, and maybe 50 planets you have something to do on. You know what I'm saying? Like, at that point, that's just me. That's me reaching. But they didn't really give me a lot of details on what we're going to be doing on these planets either, so I can only do it but speculate. Like, that's my only fear, and that's why I feel like people have the right to sense that. Now, obviously, if you generate quests, you generate different kind of landscapes, kind of like what they do on No Man's Sky, which is funny. They compared this game hardcore to No Man's Sky. But me coming from the person playing these type of games, I just don't want fluff added onto the game. I would prefer 50 to 100 planets that they put fine detail in than 1,000 planets that most of them aren't going to be anything relevant or you do anything. We don't know. We don't know the game. We ain't playing the game. But we do have to go off what they're telling us. People keep saying mods in the chat. If you guys don't calm your ass down, I ain't trying to have someone else fix the game I buy.
Yeah, that's nuts.
Yeah.
Look, that's going to add cherry on the top. But keep in mind, a lot of some of this war, I don't know how much they really go into detail on that. It's generated. It's randomly generated. So can you really mod something that the actual game randomly generates? I don't know. I'm not a modder. But there's a lot of speculation going on to this. We need to know more information. I think that's the biggest thing. What I saw on Starfield, it was enticing. It made me interested. But I can honestly say that I felt more comfortable with Redfall coming out of this event than I did Starfield. Because I know what we expect on Redfall. They went in Starfield. It felt like they showed a little bit of everything, but they didn't give enough information on anything. Like, they talked about the character creation tool in there, but they didn't show you really, like, a lot of the mods or anything on there. Like, I kind of want to see the stat system, maybe the level up system. They didn't really go into detail on any of that. And maybe it was in the extent. I don't know. But
it's a much bigger game than Redfall. So I mean, maybe that's one reason why you felt more confident about Redfall. I don't know. I'm not sure. I'm sure there's a reason they couldn't show everything about Starfield that.
And what I really liked about it is the space combat. For those of you who don't know the chat, you can actually make your own ship, which I like. You can make your own bases, that kind of return from Fallout 4. I like. I'm not, see, the chat said you're saying I'm being like downer. That's my problem with sometimes in this community. You can't even bring up stuff that you're curious on and you're concerned about, where people say that you're hyping something up too much or you're being low down on too much. Like, look, I see 1,000 planets. I don't automatically assume that's amazing. I say, yo, that's cool, but what can we do with those 1,000 planets? That's all I asked. Now, you guys can take that narrative, spin it all you want, saying I'm speaking too negative about something. That's fine. But I'm just looking at this and I'm like, how much of this world is realistically going to contribute to the story? That's all I want to know. How much of this universe?
Because we have, it's not like it's just random concern. We have, things we can point to where developers brag about, oh, it's a huge world. It's, it has all of it. They boast numbers, but large games it's really never really about the number. It's about the density. Like, you can have 1,000 planets, and once again, we don't know what's on them. They said some of it is going to be procedurally generated, but it's really all about the density, when it comes to sandbox or open world games. So, that's what really matters. But developers are always going to brag these vague, arbitrary numbers that don't necessarily mean anything.
And what's crazy? When I bring up my concerns when I played God of War, and there's too many trolls, and the boss fights weren't as crazy as that I wanted them to be. A lot of people don't have an issue with me having those statements, but the moment I criticize Starfield, I feel like everyone comes at it. It's like It's like that meme where the dude's in the middle and all the swords and guns are pointing at him. Like, dude, I want Starfield to be great. I played all of Fallout New Vegas. I played Fallout 3. I played all of these games, man. I want it to be great. Me just vocalizing my concerns with the game doesn't mean that it's going to be a bad game. You know, I honestly feel like you could spend years just flying around if there's really 1,000. It looked like it kind of like had a hub thing where it's like you could go to the certain galaxies. Now, that's going to be fine. And I don't think the game's going to be bad. It's just voicing my concerns. Bethesda, please have a lot to do in this game. That's all I'm saying. I'm not saying it's not going to have it. I'm just saying, please have a lot to do in the game. Now, someone said that Todd Howard confirmed that there will be a deep dive on the planet soon. That's fine. As long as they answer my questions before the game comes out, then we're good. But I just want stuff to do in the game. I don't want to be like, go to a world and there ain't nothing to do there. I want the space combat to be very in-depth. I want the factions to be in-depth. I want to be cruising along Starfield, and then there's some faction I pissed off 5 galaxies ago just start pulling up on my ass. That's what I want. Like, I want an in-depth faction system to go along with this big world. I want the game to do good. Got a $2 super chat from Spartan Ghost 117. Starfield didn't look too hot for me either. I agree. It's not that it didn't look hot. I thought the game looked good. It's just I need more information on some of the features that they said in the game, like the 1,000 planet. I want to know if there's some version of a VAT system in this game. I want to know. Felt like they didn't really go into too much in the combat.
So like, you just need to know more information about the game. That's what you need to know.
Yeah, I felt like they did a very good job showing the game. I felt like they showed a lot of aspects that people would ask. They went big into the creation creator, but I do feel like they could have went into more of that. Now, obviously, they're not going to do it all. We still probably got maybe even more than a year, because I don't think this game probably ain't coming out before next June. I hope it does, but if it needs to be pushed back even more, I'm cool with that. But that's just my thing. It's like, look, another $2 super chat from Spartan Ghost 117. Also, can't wait for mods to fix the game for me. That's cool. But I do want to point out that we shouldn't have to rely on these people to fix the game. Bethesda should have this game up and running, and the mods should add more value to the game, not the other way around. Oh my God, I'm starting to lose my voice, man. You can expect your bases being rated. See, that's cool. That's the kind of stuff that I want. I want in-depth thing on that. I like how you can make ships. You know, they should have showed us the mass type of ships that you can make. Can you make them huge? Are they just going to be one size? You know what I'm saying? Like, kind of like how the Kingdom Hearts games, where they gave you like kind of a diameter of how big they can be. I want more stuff like that. That's all I want.
Yep.
$2 super chat from G's. After Final Fantasy VII being skeptical, it's perfectly reasonable. Fallout 76.
Yeah, the Fallout 76.
$2 super chat from John TJ. Hi, Attic. Everyone is my friend Dirt. Is that my friend Dirt? Yes, it is.
Hey, what's up, buddy? How you doing, man? John TJ, what's up, homie?
That's all I'm saying, man. Like, Starfield, I'm hyped for it. I'm excited for it. I just want to see more. That's all. But I will say that this is the first time we've seen gameplay. This is the first time we've seen anything related to this game. I do feel like it is a good first impressions. It's just we need to see more on these 1,000 planets. We need to see how they're going to generate the planets. We need to go see, like, some of them are going to be purely water-based and you need certain equipment to get into them. We need to see more, and that's all I'm saying. I'm not saying the game's going to be bad. I love Bethesda games. That's the crazy part. BJ, you know me for years. Have I not always spoken highly about Bethesda games?
Yep.
And that's the crazy part about this chat coming at my head. You guys are right there on my foot, man. You guys want to slit my jugular. That's how much you guys are. But, you know, it is what it is. So, last question, guys. Last question. After seeing this show, this Xbox show with Starfield, Fall, everything included, do you think it pushed the needle for Microsoft? Do you think it pushed it down, or do you think it just kept it exactly where it is? We'll start with Dirt.
I think it puts the needle slightly. Let me explain. I think not just our community, not just the hardcore gamers like us. I think there are some people that's interested in Starfield more than they were before. Now, there might be some that's less interested, but I do believe Starfield has caught a lot more interest. Like some of the Game Pass deals, like Riot Games and some of the other things. Now, as far as the hardcore gamers, maybe not, but I do think overall it pushed the needle slightly, not huge, slightly.
I'd agree with that. I do think it pushes slightly. I do feel like with the delays of Redfall and Starfield, I expected more. But I think Persona showed that they're doing better in the JRPG lane. Even though I don't really particularly like Kojima, it did show that they're working with that studio.
Absolutely.
I like the fact that they're bringing some kind of From Software to Game Pass day and date. That didn't do a whole lot, but at least we're getting the game, and not only are we getting the game, it's going to be day and date in the service and stuff. And I know BG ain't a big fan of Game Pass, but I do like that the fact that they are not only helping them with the development. I don't know what they did. I don't know if they helped them make the game, port it, or whatever. But I like that they're going above and beyond, making sure this stuff come up there. Persona coming on the platform by itself is huge. I've been wanting that franchise. Now, hopefully we'll get Final Fantasy stuff. Clearly we're getting something if Snitch is right, which probably he is. We just got to see more. We got to see more of it. I think this, if we were saying like this is the needle, like it went up like this. Like nothing like this. Just
yes,
like this.
Slightly.
A slight
slightly
increase.
Slightly.
I don't think it did anything drastic. I don't think it lowered it. I do think they showed you value in Game Pass. They showed you games for everyone. Here's the thing. Microsoft, Game Pass is the center. But they got to appeal to a lot of people. They can't appeal to one, can't appeal to two, can't appeal to three. Got to appeal a lot. Now, if they continue these conferences with that mentality instead of focusing on a lot of the hardcore audiences, you're going to see a lot of this stuff. Because they're trying to they're doing a shotgun approach. They're trying to shoot as many people as possible and not just trying to hone in on one person. Obviously, when you do this type of stuff, you're going to have a lot of shows where people are waiting 35, 45 minutes on multiple shit that has nothing to do with them. Mm-hmm. That's subjective if that should be changed. I don't know. But how you feel, BG? Did it push the needle? Did it lower it? Or it kept the same to you?
I think it kept it kind of the same. Like I said, it's been divisive. I've been listening to all the Xbox fans, right? And there is, from what I've seen and heard, listening to all the Xbox podcasts, is definitely some disappointment there with a lot of the games that were shown. General happiness about, I think, Redfall and Starfield, and a few other games, but I think Xbox, like this Xbox show seemed to be like a whole bunch of variety and diversity, but it wasn't like what Xbox fans really wanted to see. That's what I was hearing. That's the gist.
I agree. I think the biggest thing that the majority of people wanted, Xbox fans and non-Xbox fans, is we know that Game Pass is going to get a lot of good indie games, a lot of good AA, AAA content into Game Pass. We wanted to see what are their people doing more. I think that's the biggest thing is what is your exclusive content. And I felt like they fell short a little bit. You got a $5 super chat from Jigga J. Needle goes up tremendously once the ABK deal goes through. I think that's the Activision
Blizzard.
It's what are you gonna say, Dirt?
No, I'm gonna say something. As you know, a true Xbox fan, I will say this: you guys are right. Okay, let me explain why I was initially disappointed with part of the show, because even though I like a lot of indie games, we're waiting for. We want that. We know, you guys have announced Hellblade, you guys announced Valve, Perfect Dark, Fable. We're waiting for these games to be shown in a great light, right? Because we know these games are in development, but we're just waiting. We're like, damn it, we've been waiting, right? So we've been waiting for the second half of the Xbox One generation until now. Yes, we love the roadmap. The roadmap looks incredible for Xbox. But now we want to see these games. We want to be blown away visually. Oh my God, look at the graphics. Like, how Hellblade 2 was at the Game Awards last year. Yes, that's what we want. We want some of that visual. Just, oh man, that looks dope. That looks dope. So, and we didn't really get that. at this show. But looking back at the show wasn't bad. So that's what some Xbox fans were upset about. But I think most of us got over it. We realized their strategy for the next 12 months. Okay, we get it. So like what BG said it's kind of true. That's what I've been getting from most Xbox podcasts. Some people like they love the show, they like the show. Some people thought the show was underwhelming. But some people just felt that we didn't see all the big bangers that we wanted to see.
Yeah, and I think that's the biggest thing. But I do feel like, I don't know how you guys feel. We'll go and end it on this. This new 12-month thing where, they're doing 12 months. I got
thoughts about this.
I'm kind of curious where you guys' thought process on this. Do you prefer a show that focuses more on the near future, like the 12-month? Or do you think that they should show us more of, a couple years out? We'll go ahead and start with BG. How did you feel about this? And do you think I think the center of us not seeing some of the stuff that we thought like Avowed was because of this new direction.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think you can do a mix, right? Mm-hmm. Obviously, you can't show 5 games that are all coming out in 2024, but I think you could show 2, right? Mm-hmm. You could show 2, and the rest can be anywhere, from this year to next year, right? That's how it should be. Something, long term to look forward to, and something more and things that are more immediate to late next year. And even something that you could even announce something that is in development, but in pre-production or not really in development, but it's been greenlit. You could even, do that. So it got to be a mix.
Yeah. I agree with that. Let me say this. In 2020, Xbox had to announce all of these damn games, right? Because, they had no games really announced at the time. And they needed to show a roadmap. So all of those games had CGI trailers, right? And obviously, most of those games are like 4 or 5 years out. Which is unfortunate. But we wanted to see a roadmap because we just didn't get a roadmap a few years ago. So I do agree that a couple games will be okay. Just like even the Kojima thing they announced, that game is probably 3-4 years away, maybe 2 or 3 years away, right? But
I felt like that is funny that was the only game that they broke that 12-month thing for.
Yeah. So it won't. But see, they won't let people know. Kojim's working on.
That's a big announcement. Just because I don't particularly like the individuals' games, having him on your side is a huge thing.
Absolutely.
I think this is how I would like it. In a perfect world, I don't feel like you can have one or the other exclusively. Like you got to have a middle ground when it comes to that. Mm-hmm. I feel like I remember one year I think it was a long time. They showed a bunch of games, and then they got to a part of the show where someone came and said, "This is the stuff we have in the future," and they showed like 5 or 6 games after that point. Like I feel like that's the best format I've ever seen them do. Do the kind of pacing you have now.
The 360 generation, they do that.
Yeah. Do the pacing you have now, and then 20 minutes left of the show, someone comes out, set expectations correctly. The beginning, someone comes out and says 12 months, and then at a point in the show, what you have someone that comes out and they said,
"That's the future.
This is the future of Xbox." I think that's the better way. Now, I'm not saying do what you want to do. You a multi-trillion-dollar company. Who am I saying? But me as a fan, I do prefer it to be teased a little bit on stuff that is coming into the future.
I agree with that. I agree with that because I don't know what E3 it was, but they was up there. It was before Phil was the head, but he was the guy that announced it. He said, now, it was one part of the show. He said, now, these games is for the future of Xbox. I think they used the word beyond or something like that. So, yeah, I do agree with that. But let me say this. Now, if they use this same strategy next year, now, because Randall Thor was on like WBG this past week, and he mentioned this, and I wholeheartedly agree with him. If they use the same strategy next year, they will probably have more of those bigger games that we wanted to see. Right.
Yeah, well, but I do feel like we'll get to a point where if they keep doing the 12-month thing, you'll get to a point where every year will be a surprise because we're no longer got spoiled. I think that's the biggest problem, Dirt. we had expectations because of previous formats that they've done. When you show us Fable, Avowed, Everwild, Perfect Dark, Hellblade, and then we get to a show here now where we're like, okay, you bought those studios years ago. We're expecting progress now. We're expecting showcases of these games, and you don't get them. I think that is kind of like it's been a circle, and now we're expecting more of that circle, but when we don't get it, people just get naturally disappointed.
Yeah. So, see, the thing is, though, they have so much so much content in development. I think they're in a good place right now. All right, let me tell you something. Now, you remember when PlayStation, I think it's E3 2016, which was a great E3. Sony's 2016, they announced Spider-Man, God of War, Days Gone. They announced all of these great games. So, and even later that year, they announced The Last of Us 2. So what happened? They were like the next 2 or 3 E3s, they were showing those games because they showed them like maybe a little bit too early, or like 1 or 2 of them too early. So for the next 3 E3s, they showed those games over, and people was like, "Yo, the gameplay looks great." So my point with Xbox, they have so much content in development. Yes, there are some games they can hold back for a next year's show, but at the same time, what you guys are saying is absolutely right. There has to be a balance. You know, I do love the 12-month thing, but I really love what you said, Addict. The 12-month thing is cool, but there needs to be a part of the show where they say, yo, now these upcoming games are beyond the 12-month window. You know, it could be 2 or 3 games, but that would be a dope thing to do. So, because you don't want them to, you know.
You open it with the 12-month model and you end it with the future model, because I feel like
I agree with
an unannounced game is going to be a better mic drop moment than showing Starfield. I know I loved it, but I did kind of miss that drop the mic moment that we couldn't get because Starfield was the ending part of the show. So let me go ahead and get these super chats. We'll go ahead and get us up out of here. We got a $10 super chat from Jiu-Jitsu 50. It definitely made an impact. 50-plus games coming in Game Pass the next 12 months. Roadmap is impressive. 80% of the multiplies are coming to Game Pass. I will admit, value of Game Pass was definitely double insured. Sure, some of them didn't apply to me, but others did. But I don't think that... First off, people need to understand that nothing is made just for you. There's other people that it accounts to. Another $10 super chat from Jiu-Jitsu 50. The roadmap map has over 20 first-party games, which is very impressive. Also something that Sony hasn't showed us. Well, Sony ain't really showed us much of anything this year. But I do think they have games this year. I think this is a solid year for both companies. I just do think in terms of like first-party, Sony's definitely, delivered a little bit more. Yeah, but, BG, where can people find you at, man? What's Weapon World looking like these days?
It's looking pretty good, man. I'm on Twitter, Broken Games HDR. It's the YouTube channel. Y'all know Weapon Wheel Podcast. Y'all can check that out. But some of y'all don't like me, but you can follow me anyway.
Yeah, they was going to look. I'm always going to fight that. Look, I get it. People, they don't like BG.
I love them not liking me though. I feed off of it. Love that.
You're feeding his internal battery, man. What about you, Dirt? What's been going on with you?
Not much, man. Just doing a little podcast on Monday nights, 6:30 Eastern Time, WBZ Xbox podcast. Doing my normal little content here and there. I did a little live stream yesterday. So yeah, that's about it, man. On Twitter, I'm at Griggity. So just hit me up. That's about it, man.
All right. So now, I'm going to go ahead and tell you guys now, next week is going to be a little bit different. We are going to have a developer on. And how it's going to go is I'm kind of going to start having these series. Now, next week's going to be, it's not the Addict Show, it's the Addict Spotlight. And pretty much I'm going to be talking to devs about like in-depth breakdowns of their games. So keep that in mind. Some of you ain't going to apply to, come back next week for the Addict Show. But next week, it's going to be more of a serious, side where, I'm going to be talking to them about what goes in their role. Keep in mind, we're going to be bringing up their role. And exactly how it goes from a day-to-day being that person. Not going to go over who it is going to be yet. We will talk about that probably. I'll probably announce it on IOP this week. I got to get verification that they are coming. Probably the week after that, we're going to have one too. But then after that, we'll be back to normal. Because normally after E3, being content creators, BG, Dirt, what happens after E3? Well, this E3 is dry as hell when it comes to snooze.
Yeah, it's the worst time.
Yeah.
So I will be sprinkling these among all that. So appreciate everyone coming through, man. I hope you guys enjoy next week. I don't know who we're having as a guest on ILP this week. Let me bring it up. I don't know if I'm allowed to tell you, so I probably won't tell you. Okay, so we're good. We're good. Oh, yeah, it's supposed to be Rand and Jez. And Jez and Kid Smooth. We're supposed to have them up there. I think I announced that already. But I appreciate everyone coming through, man. And until next time, this is the Gaming Addict. We're out of here. Peace.
Peace out.
All right. Later.